Do you struggle with motivation? Motivation is overrated. There, I said it. I mean, it's helpful to be motivated, but it's also hazardous to always rely on being motivated. So let's dive deep, grab your tea, and let's go. Now, when we first start something new, our dopamine is carrying us through. It is through the roof. You know how much I love dopamine. So here's the thing. I want to write more. I actually want to write every single day. Now, I write these YouTube videos, I write emails, I write other things. But if I can't get my writing under control, then I fear losing my business or my YouTube channel, potentially other things, because I need to get more consistent with my writing. And now fear is not the best motivator, that's for sure. I'd rather find it somewhere else. So I have reached out for help. My mentor, Tarzan K, she suggests that you should write every day. She says it's like exercise. You're building up that muscle and you need to practice by writing every day. Now, if you're anything like me, when something is new, it's super exciting. Like when I think about when I was a new nurse, learning to start IVs, I was obsessed with it and I just wanted to start so many IVs. I know that sounds crazy to a lot of people, but talk about a challenge, like putting a needle directly into a vein, like come on. Here's a little aside. Nurses love good veins. Like I will be watching TV with my husband and I will be like, oh my gosh, those veins are amazing. And he's like, what is wrong with you? As time wears on though, we start to lose focus. For me in particular, I start to lose focus, drive, and interest. Like with my writing, for example, like when I first started and started taking a couple of courses on writing, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so much fun. But then things happen, time wears on, and you start losing focus. And the thing is, what's worse, I then hit something called resistance. In his book, War of Art, Steven Pressfield talks about resistance a lot. Now, resistance, you may have heard that term before, and I'm sure you've heard me talk about it, but others talk about it too. It's that niggling feeling that tells you that you don't want to do something. If you think about when you first start working out, like sometimes you're like, yeah, this is really fun. Like maybe you've started some like fancy workout routine or fun, trendy barre or whatever class, and you just are like, yeah, this is so much fun. But as time wears on, we can develop some resistance and we stop feeling like doing that thing. It's not new or fun anymore. We can't rely on the dopamine hit to get us through anymore. A lot of resistance that Steven Pressfield talks about in his book, he says that a lot of it comes from fear. And so for me, if I say like, what would the fear be in writing? But maybe I say to myself, like, I'm not a writer. I don't write, then maybe I'm letting resistance win. Because the thing is, like, I didn't grow up being like a creative writer that loved to like sit and write a bunch of stories or anything, although I love writing now. The way to combat this is for me to tell myself, I am a professional. When you say to yourself that you're an amateur or I'm not a writer, then it's a lot easier for resistance to win. If I then start practicing and I'm like, hey, I actually am a writer and I'm a professional writer, because I do actually like partially make my living on it, I'm not an amateur and I can't be pushed around. So that's one thing that I have started doing, is really consistently saying to myself, I am a professional. And I need to make a habit of it. That is a huge part of it, is being consistent, even on the days when you don't feel like doing it. It honestly is like when you're working out, when you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm tired, I don't feel like doing this. Even though you know when you work out, you're going to feel like 1,000 times better and you probably won't be tired anymore. Another really helpful thing is environmental design. Now, you've probably heard me talk about James Clear's awesome book, Atomic Habits, before, and he explains this subject so well. Now, we need to make it easier to do the good habits and harder for the bad ones. Environmental design. I need to make sure that my writing spot is set up for success. Like if I am going to write, I need to be sure that I have all of the things around me that support my writing. So I don't want to have things that distract me, but I want to have the things that I need. So I need like my iPad and maybe my planner, just the essentials. Tea, obviously. So I need to make sure that my writing spot is set up for success. I want to have the essentials, nothing that I don't need. So I don't want something that distracts me. I actually often am not keeping my phone near me anymore. and I want to have my iPad ready. My planner is open to the right page, so I know exactly what I'm working on. I have my writing ideas page open on my iPad. And I also want to be sure that I'm doing this at the right time of day. If I am doing my writing, I need to be sure that I am aware of things that are impacting me. So for example, the afternoon, not a great time of day for me. All people, but especially people with focus issues and ADHD, usually need an environment with less distraction. For me, with my 3 kids, my 3 cats, my foster kittens, like my little foster kitty, yeah, it's so cute. And my husband, who loves multiple screens at a time, I need to work in a spot that's quiet. My brain craves quiet most of the time, but especially if I'm going to be creative or thinking. Like, I seriously cannot be creative or think if it's noisy. So where I write matters. But in this house, it's also important when I write. So first thing in the morning is actually when my brain is at its very best. I'm at my most creative and my most focused. And I'm keeping myself motivated by utilizing my brain at its very best time of the day. I'm not relying on motivation overall by setting up my environment, by being sure that I am consistent with the things Stephen Pressfield says, but also I can try to have a little bit of motivation by starting first thing in the morning and making a habit of it. So for the past month or so, I've been committed to getting up an hour before the rest of my family to get some work done. I do actually go to bed a bit earlier now to make up for that sleep as well, which, believe it or not, I did not do before. And so if you're trying something new, if you're trying to make a big change, if you're like me, you need to figure out what works for you. So for me, doing it first thing in the morning when no one is around definitely helps. Now, you know I love my office. It's light, it's bright, I don't have a lot of things in here. There's no extra people in here. I have my lovely desk and my computer and my lamp, yummy smelly oils. But the thing is, in the morning, I actually want to write in the living room. It's kind of like the solace that I love. I love getting up before the rest of the family, but it's also the variety of working in the living room that I really like. So I love to come in here. I mean, it's so nice to work here the rest of the day. And if I do choose to write later in the day, I will come in here and do it. But it's just so nice to get up first thing in the morning, have a cup of tea, obviously. First, I go through saying some affirmations and mantras just to keep myself motivated, and then I get down to work. I want you to ask yourself if you're doing the same thing, because we're in this together. I recognize morning for me is the best. What about you? When is the best time for you? Another thing I do to keep myself motivated now is that I reward myself. I love, love, love rewarding myself. And if I do all of the things above, I reward myself like I am the queen of the forest. I love celebrating small successes. I love to write things down in my planner, and I love to check the box. I'm not even joking. That's how much of a dopamine hussy I am. Okay, so what I have learned in all of this is if I have good systems, good routines, good habits, then my chances of sticking with something that I want to do go up huge. I've been able to write more because I have set out the time of day and got everything ready. And I think that it has worked out so well. So let me know what kind of routines you want to set up. What sort of things you're trying to do. If you're trying to declutter, or you're trying to work at home or whatever, what can you do to support yourself so that you don't always need motivation? You can just keep yourself going. And I always reward myself with something. Certain points of the day, I love to have tea. I love tea. I talk about tea all the time. Part of the reason I love it, it's just so soothing. It's warm. I love it. It's like a hug from the inside. Or maybe I'm just gonna take a break, watch one of my favorite YouTube channels, something like that. So what is your reward? And also share with me, what are you struggling with for motivation? If you want help with focus, check out this video here. I made this for people who want better focus. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.